Age 70 is an important milestone in everyone's life. It is a time when many have gone through most of the big and small experiences, have witnessed changes in society, technology, life perspectives, and even themselves. However, upon reaching this age, some things that once seemed very reasonable, once undeniable truths, suddenly become meaningless. Let's take a look at 9 things that after age 70, you may realize are no longer important, or even no longer make any sense at all. The first thing is the notion of always having to please everyone. When we are young, we often worry about others' opinions, fear being judged, and fear making someone upset. But after living for 70 years, you realize that no one has enough time or energy to please everyone. You clearly understand your own value, know what to hold on to and what to let go of, and no longer worry too much about others' judgments. Secondly, the standards of appearance seem to no longer matter. After going through so many ups and downs, you realize that outward looks are just a temporary shell. Wrinkles, gray hair, thin hands become beautiful evidence of your life journey. You cherish each of these marks because they are symbols of maturity and valuable experiences that youth cannot have. The third thing is that the fear of failure gradually fades away. When you stand at the peak on the other side of life, the stumbles and mistakes that once troubled you become valuable lessons. You realize that failure is just an inevitable part of the growth process, and only by daring to face it can you understand the value of success. On Wednesday, competition at work or in life is no longer a nightmare. At this age, you have gone through days of rivalry and struggle, and now what you desire is simply peace and tranquility. You have learned to let go, to be content with what you have, and no longer feel exhausted chasing society's standards. Fourth, accumulating material things becomes less important. When you are young, everyone longs to own a beautiful house, a luxury car, and expensive belongings. But after 70, you realize that those things are just fleeting. What you truly need is health, peace, and family. Memorabilia, photos, or handwritten letters are what you cherish because they preserve memories and emotions more than any expensive item. The sixth thing is that haste and rush seem to become unfamiliar. At this age, you no longer want to live fast and hurriedly like when you were young. You prefer to savor a morning cup of tea, leisurely stroll in the garden, listen to the birds singing, or have longer conversations with loved ones. You understand that the true value of life lies in such simple yet profound moments. On Saturday, you realize that holding on to grudges and resentment is meaningless. There is not much time left for you to waste on negative emotions. Instead, you choose to forgive and let go so that your heart can be lighter. You understand that forgiveness is not about forgetting, but about freeing yourself from the burden of the past. Eighth, always having to be right gradually becomes unnecessary. When young, we often argue and defend our personal opinions to the end. But after 70, you understand that sometimes, knowing how to listen and yield is what truly matters. You are willing to smile at differing viewpoints because you know everyone has their own reasons for their stance. And finally, the ninth thing is that you realize age is actually just a number. When you are young, everyone fears getting old, fears losing vitality. But after having lived through many years, you realize that your soul can still be youthful, can still love, play, and explore new things. You understand that only when you allow yourself to grow old, then you truly become old. After 70 years, life is like a thick book, each chapter containing countless lessons, joys, and sorrows. Things that once seemed important, once were goals and motivations, now become gentle and simple. You learn to cherish the present, be grateful for the past, and no longer worry about the future. You spend more time with family and friends, enjoying every simple moment. Looking back, you smile at things that no longer make sense because they helped you grow and become stronger. You learn to accept, forgive, love, and live authentically. After all, the most meaningful thing is probably to live a fulfilling life, to be yourself, and to leave beautiful marks in the hearts of your loved ones. If someone asks what is no longer reasonable after the age of 70, smile and say, "Nothing is unreasonable. It's just that now I understand better what is truly important to me." Because after all, Life is a long journey, and each path has its own meaning. What matters is that you have lived, loved, experienced, and found peace within your soul. At the age of 70, people often realize that life is no longer a race, but a journey to feel, reflect, and share. The hurried, anxious years gradually recede, giving way to leisure, gentleness, and depth. Every morning upon waking, instead of rushing after distant goals, one chooses to pause, listen to the birds singing outside the garden, feel the gentle sunlight filtering through the window, and take a deep breath to recognize that they are still present between earth and sky. After 70, health becomes the most precious thing. No longer demanding perfection in appearance, no longer worrying about others' scrutinizing looks, people learn to care for themselves with love and respect. A simple but nutritious meal, a good night's sleep, a walk around the yard, a few minutes of quiet meditation. These seemingly small things bring joy, peace, and a sense of fulfillment. That is when people know how to listen to their bodies, rest when tired, and be happy with what they have. Family becomes a great support in the later years. If before, work, money, and fame took up most of the time and mind, now family and friends are where people return. Reunion meals, whispered conversations over tea, laughter from grandchildren, all make the heart warm and happy. People realize that the greatest success is not what has been accumulated, but the affection, attachment, and sharing between generations. The elderly cherish every moment spent with their children and grandchildren, passing on life experiences and simple yet profound lessons about kindness, patience, and tolerance. Forgiveness and letting go are also prioritized values. Youth often carries many grudges, wounds that are hard to heal due to setbacks and hurts. But after experiencing many ups and downs, people learn to forgive others and themselves, letting go of things that no longer matter, not clinging to the past, not blaming fate. Letting go is to make the soul light, peaceful, and live fully in the present. Forgiveness is not only a gift for others, but also a healing medicine for oneself. At 70, people no longer fear failure, no longer busy comparing themselves to others. The pressure to always succeed, to stand out, to be recognized becomes meaningless. Instead, the elderly find joy in simple things: caring for plants, reading books, listening to music, exercising, chatting with old friends. They understand that everyone has their own journey. No need to chase any standard, no need to try to please everyone. Time becomes more meaningful than ever. The days of rushing and impatience are over. People learn to slow down and savor every moment. A quiet afternoon watching the sunset, a morning stroll under the trees, a peaceful day with loved ones. These become priceless treasures that youth might have missed due to busyness. The elderly are grateful for the past, cherish the present, and do not worry too much about the future. They understand that each day is a gift, each moment precious. What is special at 70 is acceptance and self-love. No longer feeling insecure about wrinkles, gray hair, or declining health, people see these as marks of time, proof of a full life. The elderly learn to view achievements, failures, joys, and sorrows as pieces that make up who they are. They no longer try to be someone else, no longer chase perfection, but live authentically with their feelings and unique values. 70 is also a time to share and spread love. People spend more time on community activities, helping the less fortunate, joining volunteer groups, senior clubs. Small acts like visiting the sick, teaching poor children, sharing life experiences, all bring great meaning. The elderly feel joy in giving, in seeing themselves still useful to society, still respected and loved by others. From the perspective after 70, many realize that fear of aging is unnecessary. Instead of worrying about declining health, loneliness, or losses, they choose to face it with optimism and positivity. Finding joy in each day, keeping a youthful, humorous spirit, and appreciating the beauty of life at every age. The elderly often have interesting stories, beautiful memories, and profound lessons to pass on to the next generation. Slowing down also helps people realize the meaning of spiritual values. Money and material things can bring convenience but cannot replace peace and joy in the soul. The elderly spend time meditating, praying, reading, reflecting on the meaning of life, on the value of gratitude, humility, and love. They learn to understand, empathize, and be more tolerant of those around them, no longer judging, competing, or envying. 70 is a milestone of comprehensive maturity, both physically and spiritually. People know how to cherish every moment, every small joy, love themselves and their loved ones. They no longer fear life's changes, but learn to accept, adapt, and find meaning in every circumstance. Even if health is not as before, even if many friends have passed away, the elderly always keep an optimistic spirit and faith in life. Family is where people return after years of adventure and wandering. Reunions, conversations, warm hugs become more special than ever. The elderly spend time with their children and grandchildren, teaching, telling stories, passing on family traditions and values. They are like tall trees providing shade, a solid support for the next generation, a source of encouragement whenever grandchildren face difficulties. Friendship is also treasured more than ever by the elderly. Old friends become soulmates, reminiscing memories, sharing joys and sorrows, encouraging each other through illness and loss. The elderly know that age does not diminish the value of friendship, but makes it deeper and more enduring. Meetings, laughter, simple greetings are full of meaning. At this age, people also take time to look back on their journey, summarize lessons and experiences. They are grateful for difficulties and challenges that helped them grow, cherish the joys and successes achieved. The past is no longer a burden but a treasure of memories, a motivation to live fully in the present. The elderly often tell their grandchildren, "Live slowly, be grateful for what you have, don't chase after material things, don't worry too much about the future." This is advice from life experience, from maturity, from a heart that knows love, forgiveness, and acceptance. They want the next generation to continue good values and build a happy, fulfilling life. 70 is also a time to discover new hobbies and learn things never tried before. The elderly join painting classes, yoga, music lessons, qigong, gardening, pet care. Curiosity and eagerness to learn help keep their minds flexible, creative, and joyful. They are not afraid of challenges, failure, or starting over. Every day is an opportunity to learn, experience, and enjoy life. The elderly also have an optimistic view of aging. They do not see old age as an end, but as a new beginning for deep experiences, lasting relationships, and human values. They live with gratitude, contentment, and simple joy. Every wrinkle, every gray hair tells the story of a lifetime, of ups and downs, happiness, and achievements. Finally, 70 is a time to live truly as oneself. No need to hide emotions, no need to please everyone, no need to follow social pressures. The elderly live sincerely, simply, enjoying every moment with loved ones and friends. They know that the greatest value in life is love, peace in the soul, and the ability to forgive and be tolerant. And so age is just a number, not determining the value or meaning of life. What matters is how we choose to live, how we love, how we cherish every moment. After 70, life opens a new chapter, a chapter of peace, happiness, and fulfillment, where each person can be themselves, be loved, and live fully with their loved ones.